Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to episode 3 of Weekly Oscar Talk here on the Oscar Film Forecast channel. As you can tell, I'm alone this week. Ben has a very busy week. Yesterday was Halloween, crazy time. I can't speak, crazy times. Um, yeah, so it's just me this week. There's not a ton of news and stuff to talk about this week, so it may be a shorter episode overall. I did put out a question for Q&As just to fill up some time that I'll do at the end of this episode. If you don't follow me on Twitter, that is where you would go for the next time there's an empty episode with not a lot to talk about. If you have a question, Oscar, film, really anything related you want to ask me, follow me on Twitter at OscarFilmFC and just drop it in there and I'll find it. But getting into the few things we do have to talk about today, we're going to start off with, of course, Dune Part 2 was greenlit. Happened about a week ago, I believe, last Monday or Tuesday. We all saw this coming. I saw this coming. Not everyone saw it coming, but the people who had faith in Dune saw it coming. You really can't commit to making that movie and having it be like such a critical success, and now even a audience and financial success, and you can't not greenlight it. So super excited for it. October 2023. I'm surprised by that turnaround. I was thinking honestly, I was thinking late 2024. That's 2 years from now. That's a quick turnaround. Like, it's usually not as high quality films that have that kind of turnaround. Like the Venom movies had a 2 year turnaround initially until COVID happened. But yeah, I think hopefully they're still able to do it at the same quality level, because I feel like part of that may be Warner Brothers rushing Denis, and they want to keep the October date for some reason, because I feel like the initial December date was good. Like, I feel like this movie would have been a huge hit in December of 2020. Do you remember? Like, there was nothing there. There wasn't a Star Wars movie. There wasn't an Avatar movie. It was really West Side Story. There were a few other things. West Side Story, Matrix was still there. Um, I forget. I know Spider-Man wasn't there. So yeah, it was like an empty December. That was like going to be the biggest potential blockbuster. So I feel like that's such a missed opportunity. Like, that could have been such a huge hit. COVID, dang it. But it's still a big hit, and we're still getting the sequel. So that's all that matters. Um, yeah. What else to talk about? Yeah, like I said, I hope it's a quick turnaround. That still manages to keep the quality up. I know Denis said in an interview that he wouldn't be able to film until like late 2022. So that's like a year turnaround. I just hope that it's of the same quality, and I'm sure it will be. If they need to push it a little, feel free to do it. I believe I was initially thinking December 2024, honestly, because there's no Star Wars movie there, but I do think there's an Avatar movie there. So who knows? October worked well for it this year. So, and it's not an HBO Max. That's a huge win. Huge win. So yeah, super excited for that. Um, that's really it news wise. I also wanted to address something quickly that I stumbled upon this week. I stumbled upon the Oscar race subreddit. The, the rumors of Will Smith being anti-vax, and that is why he is not attending any of these film festivals where King Richard is being shown. Because you're thinking, if you're an Oscar hopeful actor, and like Will Smith, he's wanted his Oscar for a while. He's been talking about how he's wanted his Oscar for a while. That you'd attend these screenings and you'd like go to the Q&As and you'd like campaign for yourself. But he isn't showing up, surprisingly enough, to all of these. And many people have said it's rumored because he is anti-vax. He's not vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated to attend these screenings and festivals. And also, I remember there was a report that some big high profile project was shut down in August because a high profile star wasn't vaccinated and people on the set got sick. And then someone looked into it and they said that Will Smith movie, I forget what it's called. Um, Let me try and pull it. Oh, Emancipation. That Will Smith movie, Emancipation, got shut down in the middle of August. So yeah, not looking great if that is the truth. I don't want to say it's the truth. Could just be a number of coincidences that line up to make a rumor. But if that is the truth, Will Smith has looked like a huge frontrunner for actor for forever. I think he still is. He just needs to get vaccinated. And that's all you need to do. You want an Oscar so bad, get the vaccination. Especially because you're gonna need to be vaccinated to go to the Oscars next year anyway. Um, so yeah, I hope this doesn't rise up and become a big deal because if we'll get to this in the Q&A later because there was a question about it. But if if it does become an issue and like it does hurt his chances, I don't know who could replace him. But yeah, we'll get to that later in the Q&A section. Yeah, so that's it for news. Going into trailers, first trailer we gotta talk about, of course, the second trailer for House of Gucci. Um, you know, I did a reaction to it. It looked pretty good. It was similar to the first trailer. Showed a little more. But yeah, pretty similar in its structure. But yeah, it looked good. It looked like Oscar bait, but like Oscar bait that the Academy's gonna like actually like. Of course, the screenings of this, I've said it's an okay-ish movie, but that Lady Gaga's really good in it, which you can tell from the trailer. So many different looks, especially at the end when she's like all dreary and like tired and like run down. But yeah, tons of costume, tons of looks. She's doing an accent. She's doing it all. So I didn't have her in my top 5 previously for actress. I may have to put her in there. I'm not completely sure yet. That's like such a crowded category. I feel like it usually is probably the most crowded category most years. So yeah, we'll see. Jared Leto also in that looked very, very Oscar baity. I was kind of denying the movie in general. I didn't think it was going to be a huge Oscar contender. I think I'm going to have to cave in on that. I think Jared Leto, he's in the makeup. He's like crying. He's having rage fits. He's like, I mean, if he can almost get an Oscar nomination for The Little Things, I think he's gonna get nominated for this, especially since supporting actor is just such an empty field right now. So yeah, I think Jared Leto's gonna get nominated. I just hope he doesn't win, because that would kind of. I'm not a huge Jared Leto fan personally, so yeah, I'd hope he isn't a winner. But I guess we're gonna have to deal with a nomination there. What else in that trailer? Adam Driver looked good. I don't think, sadly, Adam Driver is going to get any Oscar nomination this year. You know, he's in a ton of movies. He's in Last Duel. He's in Annette. He's in House of Gucci, all of which are like less so Annette, but like awardsy films. And yeah, he's really good in The Last Duel, but he doesn't seem like he's going to be giving a standout performance in House of Gucci. I think he'll serve his role well, but I don't think it's anything that the Oscars are going to drool over. Last Duel, I don't think he's going to get in. I think Ben Affleck is the more of a standout supporting actor within that. If anyone were to get in from that movie, which sadly flopped, such a tragedy. Go check it out if you haven't. It's really, really deserving of your time. And also really important and just really well made movie. And yeah, and that is just not happening anywhere. Yeah, so poor Adam Driver, you know, he's having a good year, just probably not going to get that third Oscar nomination for himself. Al Pacino, I was also surprised. I initially, like back in May during my like clueless early Oscar predictions, I had Al Pacino in instead of Jared Leto, I believe, just because I like Al Pacino more. And I think you could potentially be looking at a double nomination here for Al Pacino and Jared Leto in supporting actor. Depends on the movie. If the movie is like well received by the Academy, I could see that totally happening. If it's like, but the acting's okay, I feel like maybe just Jared Leto would get in. But yeah, he's seeming like the most likely thing. Of course, costumes. I don't know what else. Costumes, screenplay maybe. But yeah, looked really well done. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Poor Ridley Scott. Also, poor Ridley Scott. Him and Adam Driver are just gonna have to chill out together on not getting any Oscar nominations, unless he produced either of his movies. I'm not sure if he did, because he should have produced Gladiator, and then he would actually have an Oscar, because that won Best Picture, but he didn't win Director. But sadly, he did not. Yeah, but I don't think either of his movies this year are going to win Best Picture anyway, and he is not. He's not going to be probably nominated for Director, which is sad because I have him at like 101 on Gold Derby, but I had that for Jesse Plemons too for Power of the Dog, and I had to let him go. You know, I still have Kristen Stewart for Spencer at 101 though, so that's looking pretty good. Getting into another trailer this week, the Lightyear trailer, or teaser. Buzz Lightyear. I, as a kid, I was obsessed with Buzz Lightyear. Like, I had probably 20 toy Buzz Lightyears. Huge fan. I always preferred him over Woody. I always annoyed a little bit in Toy Story 4 with the way they portrayed him and the way he took such a huge backseat when the whole franchise was about their relationship. Ugh. But I still liked that movie. But yeah, that kind of annoyed me. But now he's getting his own freaking movie. Take that, Woody. It's about the guy who, it's a little confusing here. I'm not exactly sure. It's about the guy who inspired the toy Buzz Lightyear. So I'm not completely sure if this is within the world, where if Andy, this is a person who existed in Andy's world, kind of like a Neil Armstrong or something, and he went up in space and became a huge historical figure, or if it's this is a fictional movie in Andy's world that inspired the spin-off merchandise toys. So still not sure there, but either way, looks really good. Just I love space movies. A lot of this reminded me of First Man too, and the way it looked. Really good. The Pixar animation just gets more amazing with each movie. Especially in Toy Story 4, some of that looks super good. And Soul. Yeah, the animation was really good. Looked like fun. Chris Evans is our new Buzz Lightyear. We didn't really hear much of him, but I'm sure he'll do a good job because he's Chris Evans. What else? The cat in it looks cute. But yeah, overall, I'm sure it'll be a picture or best animated feature contender next year. I haven't really looked at the other animated movies next year. Who knows? It could win. It is the Pixar movie next year, but there's 2 Pixar movies next year. Only one this year. Speaking of animated features, Mitchell's versus the Machines better win this year, even though it could be Luca, could be Encanto, but I hope it's Mitchell's versus the Machines. That's who I'm still rooting for. And then the final trailer here is the Unforgivable, starring Sandra Bullock and Viola Davis. The fun and funny thing here is that I have not seen this trailer yet, so I figured let's make this a little interactive, a little fun. Let's do a live trailer reaction in the middle of our weekly Oscar Talk podcast. So let's pull it on up here, the Unforgivable trailer. Sandra Bullock, Viola Davis. Let's start it right now.
Ruth, phone call.
She doesn't look good.
Hello? Hello?
You're gonna pay for what you did.
I was in prison.
Oh, that's her. I thought that was a little girl.
I just got out. I was there for 20 years.
For what?
Yeah, for what? For what?
It was an accident.
For murder? That's what it looks like.
Does your release alter the terms of your no contact order?
You don't have to give me a speech. I'm looking for Katie. She's mine.
Excited to see him.
I raised her. Okay, next time don't drag me through 3 bus transfers to tell me something you already know.
John?
Viola.
There's a woman in the front yard.
Can I help you with something?
You're a lawyer?
Is that Vincent D'Onofrio?
Catherine gained by meeting her now.
I wonder all the time what she looks like, what she became.
Your life starts here now, not 20 years ago.
She did her time.
It is
She killed
Vincent.
somebody in cold blood.
If that were any of your black sons who had been in the system, they would be dead.
She walks
That's
around
true.
like it never happened.
Viola
You
with
tell
the
me if that's
facts.
fair.
You gotta be a convict wherever I go?
No, you're a cop killer everywhere you go.
Ooh.
Hey, Ruth, just stop. You're not.
Is that John Bernthal? No.
Don't treat me like I don't exist! Tell her about me!
It is John Bernthal. This is a stacked cast.
Don't even pretend this is about her.
Jack, I was protecting her.
Act.
I'm not a victim.
Scream.
I don't quit. Not on Katie.
Is that it? I don't know any of those writers or directors. That looks pretty good. Definitely not an awards contender. No, definitely not that. But it looks like a fun movie that I'll watch because it has Viola Davis, Sandra Bullock, who I haven't seen like since Ocean's 8, I think. Vincent D'Onofrio, who I just saw in Eyes of Tammy Faye, John Bernthal, who's about to be in King Richard, Rob Morgan, who's going to be in Don't Look Up, stacked cast. It looks like some good acting. I always love a good Viola Davis scream session. Always love those. Sandra Bullock looks like she's doing a good job here. Yeah, it looks like she's really just looking for her sister, who she defended when she killed a cop when she was younger 20 years ago. Not the most revolutionary plot, but for the cast, I will watch. So yeah, those are the trailers this week. I was going to then move into a little segment here because it is the week of Halloween to talk about some of my favorite, I was going to do a whole segment of my own personal Oscars for the best horror for the past decade or whatever. I didn't do that because it's now November 1st. This is going to come out on November 2nd. We're out of the spooky season and we're into the Thanksgiving season and then into the festive Christmas season. But I still made a few little things. So for the horror movies, here's what I think should have gotten Oscar recognition over the past few years. We are starting off with, of course, my favorite horror film, personally. I know if Ben were here, he would be offended to hear that. Hereditary. It is my favorite horror movie. It's just disturbed me so much. So much. I should mention this, I am a bit of a horror noob. There's a lot of classics that I haven't seen that I am going to try and see. I haven't seen any Halloween movies. I haven't seen any Scream movies. I haven't seen Silence of the Lambs. I haven't seen The Shining. I haven't seen Exorcist. There's a lot of classics. I haven't seen Psycho that I haven't seen. Yeah, but I have seen because I feel like traditional horror, like a Halloween, that's just not my thing. Can get a little campy, can get a little cheesy, a little predictable, and I know that's some people's thing. That's Ben's thing, just not my thing. I lean a little more towards the A24 style of horror, as you're going to see in the list I break down here. That's what I lean more towards, rather than the traditional horror. But if you love that stuff, love it, because that's the majority of people. I just love my A24 stuff. So yeah, as I I don't even know if I said the movie's name. Hereditary, my favorite horror movie. So good. It's just tragic, especially since 2018 was it wasn't a weak year for movies, but the best picture lineup for the movies of that year was just so weak that it breaks my heart, the fact that Hereditary didn't get a single nomination, a single one. Especially, of course, Toni Collette for Best Actress. You just can't deny that. She deserved to win the freaking thing. I'm sorry, Glenn Close and Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman, you were great. You're gonna win. You're winning everything right now, anyways. Who else? Lady Gaga. Yalitza Aparicio. And there's one other person. Melissa McCarthy. Who would I kick out? I have no clue. I just know Toni Collette should have been nominated. Who would I kick out? Who would I kick out? I'd probably kick out Yalitza, but that feels, I don't know. Yalitza or Lady Gaga probably is who I would kick out. But if Glenn Close isn't gonna win, then maybe I'd kick her out. I don't know. Either way, Toni Collette, best female performance or best performance in general in 2018. Also, great performance in here. Supporting actor, I think. What's his name? Alex Wolff should have been absolutely gotten some recognition that year. But that year, all the acting categories just always break my heart. In most years, especially supporting actor, that it always offends me with what they pick. Let's hope they do a good job this year. They did a good job in 2020 for the 2020 movies. That was pretty good. But yeah, Alex Wolff was so good, so good, so good in this. He deserved some recognition for that, and he deserves more work than he gets right now. He was just an old that didn't work out so well. He was in Pig. I'm actually liking. Actually, never mind. I'm liking the career choices he's making. So keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully, eventually, you get your recognition. You're still young, and they don't like young men at the Academy. So yeah, loved him in this movie. He's kind of like the lead-ish. Him and Tony Collette. But yeah, he's more supporting actor. But yeah, he was amazing. I don't know if I should spoil stuff, because if you haven't seen Hereditary, see freaking Hereditary. But yeah, he has a lot of good acting moments, as does Tony Collette. Cinematography, beautiful. Some of the images in this movie still remain in my mind and haunt me. Naked people in dark rooms and corners everywhere surrounding your house. Are you kidding me? And especially the way it dealt with like the like miniature house building and how that went into the like real life cinematography. Chef's kiss, so good. Speaking of which, director Ari Aster, this was his first freaking movie. Are you joking? Are you joking? This is like the work of someone who's like, this is like a master class in directing right here. So good. So every little tiny detail is thought out, and you can just notice new things with each viewing. Just wow. Screenplay also really well written. Love the way it explores all the stuff it explores. So yeah, Hereditary deserved all of that stuff. Also, that year, A Quiet Place. I also love that movie. 2018 was a good year for horror. Deserved to win sound over freaking Bohemian Rhapsody. Got sound. It got both sound categories. Are you joking? They weren't, but they should have been. Yeah, so A Quiet Place should have won sound, both of them, or one of them, either. Supporting actress, Emily Blunt. She did get in some places that year. She got in a lot of places really besides the Academy for either Mary Poppins or A Quiet Place. I liked her A Quiet Place performance more. So yeah, she was really good in it. Everyone was good in it, but I do think she was the standout in the first one, whereas Millicent Simmons I think would be the standout in the second one. Us in 2019. The way the Academy, I'm gonna also get to this too, not like a few other movies later on. The way the Academy disrespects horror performances, which are like some of the best performances of like each individual year, it just breaks my heart, because like Toni Collette was the best performance of 2018. I'm not sure if Lupita, I'm talking about Us right now. I don't know, I did say Us already, but Lupita Nyong'o in Us, so good. I'm not sure if it's my favorite performance of that entire year. That's a trickier thing to say, because that's a much better year performance with performances. But I think she could be easily the best female. Yeah, easily the best female performance of that year, I think. Yeah, she deserved to be nominated. She deserves her second Oscar already. I did just recently watch 12 Years a Slave for the first time, as you guys know, because that was last week's episode. Love her in that. She's so good in everything she touches, and especially this. I think I like this performance more than her 12 Years a Slave performance. So yeah, she deserved recognition for that. She's playing two different people too. I mean, like, masterclass in acting. The score, so good. I just like, yeah, go listen to that score. There's like one or two tracks in particular that just stay stuck in my mind, and I feel it's like an iconic score. It's like, I don't want to try and mimic it right now, but it's like that bunny scene and such, like, great score. Two more movies that I'm going to talk about here. Invisible Man last year, Best Actress once again. All of these great female performances in horror movies. Elizabeth Moss, so good in this movie, and I don't care if she's a Scientologist. She gave great performances, yeah, last year, and both that and Shirley. Yeah, it didn't get into VFX, which I think it, like, considering last year had like no blockbusters, I think it probably should have. And then also sound, because why not? And then finally, I'm gonna mention Midsommar, Ari Aster's follow-up. I'm so invested in him as a director. He's just so good. This movie I didn't like as much as Hereditary, but still a very well done movie. Florence Pugh for Best Actress. Maybe, honestly, I'm not completely sure because that's also 2019. Who would I have in my lineup there? I'd probably have Florence Pugh. I'd have Lupita. I'd have Florence Pugh. I'd have Scarlett. That's three. I'd have Saoirse, and I'd have that's four. Right? Yeah. And then my last spot would probably be Charlize, I think. Yeah. But yeah, she was really good in this. She was asked both of these leads. He asks his lead, Butch right now have both been actresses, his lead actresses, to do a lot in his movies. A lot of like emotional baggage, like as an actor, like that must be tough to film. Like I know neither of them obviously are going method on this, which you shouldn't, especially in a movie like that. Just being in that headspace and like doing multiple takes of like what they go through, it's like, wow, like I would be depressed, but I would also love it just because acting is fun. And then finally, cinematography. That movie is beautiful, beautifully shot. So many shots that could be framed. I feel like that is a better looking movie than Hereditary, honestly. Even though I like Hereditary more, this was better shot, especially since it all takes place during day, which is hard for a horror movie to be scary if it all takes place during day. And he pulled that off. He did it. So yeah, that's really it horror wise that I wanted to mention. Let's see, how are we on time? Yeah, so let's head over to the Q&A. Let's see. Pull up my questions that I have been asked. Okay, so first question comes from Justin at Justin's Priv underscore. Who would you cast as Princess Irulan in Dune Part 2? I'm gonna be honest here, Justin. I don't really know who that is. I believe that's the Emperor's daughter. I'm trying to do as little research and knowledge of Dune Part 2 as I can. I've already run into some stuff that I don't want to regarding certain characters and if they are alive or not. So I'm not completely sure who this character is. I imagine they're close to Paul and Chani's age. And it depends on the ethnicity of the Emperor who they cast. I saw someone say Mahershala Ali as Emperor, which I think would be interesting, but he was also kind of that in Alita, Battle Angel. But in terms of like contemporaries of Timmy and Zendaya, Anya Taylor-Joy, but I feel like everyone would say that. I don't know. I'll think about it and then I'll get back to it at the end of this. Q&A. Then next we have Jigo Chu. I always mispronounce your last name. Jigo Chu. I hope I'm saying that right. Why did it take so long for Dune to come out before Star Wars did? You see, Star Wars really kind of changed the film industry in a lot of ways. When they were making Star Wars, they did not have faith in it. George Lucas spent a little more money, a little too much money than he was expected to. They weren't making a ton of huge space odyssey movies, space fantasies before Star Wars, and so they weren't. No one really even no film producer was really even considering, oh, let's make a Dune movie, just because that was a huge risk money wise, and there didn't seem to be an audience for it because they hadn't made a ton of those movies. But yeah, George, and it also probably would have been thought to be technically too difficult to pull off and expensive to pull off for the time. So that's why they didn't make that then. But once Star Wars happened in 1977, which was inspired by a lot of what Dune, as you saw in the movie, which was inspired by a lot of what Dune established with Frank Herbert's novel. Once that happened, they got on to making a Dune movie, which they did in 1984, I believe, is when the David Lynch movie came out. Didn't work out so well because, you know, the studio was a little involved in that more so than they were in Star Wars, because George Lucas had the toy merchandise money to swing around and really make whatever he wanted. David Lynch, who turned down making Return of the Jedi the year prior, funnily enough, made his other sci-fi movie, Dune. And yeah, his vision was, I think Dune was maybe a little too it wasn't ready technically to be made even in 1984, because a lot of that doesn't look good, whereas Star Wars still looks pretty good. But yeah, once Star Wars like completely changed the industry, really the first blockbuster, I know people say Jaws, but I think Star Wars like is what actually changed the industry and started like entered us into this whole like franchise obsessed era that we're in right now. Still, you can thank Star Wars for that. Yeah, once Star Wars completely changed the industry that way, that is why they wanted to make Dune. But before that, I don't think they even really thought about it because it was too technically challenging and probably too expensive. So yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you, Justin, as well. But I'm not done with your question because I'm gonna come around to it. Next, we have Isaac asking, do you think Marvel is trying to do too much with its current phase? I should mention these were just general film questions anyway, not always Oscar related per se. Is Marvel doing too much with its current phase? I'm not completely sure because I'm not completely sure what their path is right now. I think they're putting out too much content in general. I don't feel like having like 4 movies a year and like 4 or 5 shows a year is helpful because, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I remember like when there was only like 2 Marvel movies a year, like when I was in high school, it's like that build up to the next one, that like 6-month build up in between, or sometimes it was less, sometimes it was more. It was like super hype. And now it just feels like, I don't know, like there's always something to like keep you satisfied until the next thing comes out. So there's never that hunger. So the hype isn't quite there for a lot of things, especially for me personally. I'm just kind of tired out of a lot of this. But that's why I'm excited for Eternals, because apparently it's breaking a lot of the Marvel formula, which I find exciting personally. But in terms of quality, are they doing like too much? I think quality-wise, I like that in this phase they're taking risks. You know, they made a bunch of money with the previous 3 phases, and now they're safe enough to take risks. And I wish they would take bigger risks, because I feel like this is an issue that people have been talking about with Eternals. I found it with WandaVision, with Loki, a lot of these things. Falcon and Winter Soldier, they try to do something different. They try to tackle something and do something like, I don't know, like tackle like race with Falcon and Winter Soldier, tackle free will with Loki, tackle grief with WandaVision, tackle what else did I say? I mentioned like Eternals. I'm not sure what they're tackling because I haven't seen it, but they try and like do something different, but then they're still held back by their formula. They either need to keep doing their formulaic stuff and stop like trying to like break the formula, but also stay within the formula, or they need to just completely break the formula. They cannot wish-wash in between, because that's how you get that's how like you get no one happy. I feel like that's like what happened with the Rise of Skywalker. Like people who liked Last Jedi and people who liked Force Awakens, neither of them really liked that movie per se. So I think they need to keep taking risks, but they need to let people take their risks without staying within the formula. So yeah, that's Marvel right now. I'm excited for Eternals and Eternals. I'm not sure what else I'm super excited for, to be honest. Doctor Strange too, because the first one was pretty. Okay. Next, we're skipping that. Steven Turner asking, how will you feel when House of Gucci makes $5 billion? I'll feel happy for Lady Gaga getting that bag. Okay, next we have the Oscar Juggernaut asking, I had always thought a potential West Side Story spoiler. Oh, wait, I misread that. Sorry. I had always thought about a potential West Side Story spoiler to Belfast, just like you have. Yes, I have in my October predictions. Thank you for noticing. This is only because I figured a combination of nostalgia mixed with cinematic artistry that inspires the general public to get back to the theater would win the day. What would be my reasoning? I'm gonna be honest, a lot of my reasoning in picking it for my October predictions was because I just don't think Belfast is gonna win. It could, but right now that's just boring. So I needed to find an alternative, and I was looking through all the other ones, and West Side Story just struck me the most as a potential winner. because it's Steven Spielberg. You know, he always delivers a certain level of quality. There are certain movies like A House of Gucci or like a Don't Look Up where you don't know like if it's gonna be like good or if it's gonna be like absolutely terrible. West Side Story is gonna be at least a pretty good movie. And then I saw the trailers. The trailers were a huge factor in me bumping it up as my predicted winner, which I would still probably have. It looked really, really good, as you mentioned, cinematic artistry. Um, just looking at those trailers, it looks like such a huge contender in so many technical parts. That's my reasoning for Dune getting nominated for Best Picture. I think West Side Story could lead nominations with the amount, like have the most nominations of any movie this year. I mean, it's probably going into sound because it's a musical, editing, therefore. What else? Production design, costume design, pretty much all the technical cinematography, makeup and hairstyling, all of that. And then I think it could, unlike Dune, get one or two actors in there. I think definitely Ariana DeBose is their best bet right now. And it could either get David Alvarez for supporting actor or Rachel Zegler for lead actress. Both of those are a little less likely. I think maybe David Alvarez is possible because supporting actor is weak right now. And I don't know. I kind of thought as you did. There's a little nostalgia there. That I don't know. I don't know. there's nostalgia there. I think for a lot of the Academy, and we haven't really seen something like this happen. I don't think there's ever been a Best Picture film that's been remade. Has there? Like a movie that won Best Picture that's been remade. I don't think that's happened before. Tell me if it has, because I'm not sure if it has. And it's been a while. And I feel like Spielberg is also changing it enough. I remember some interview with him, and I forget the person who's writing it with him. I should remember their name, but he was also a well-known and well-renowned writer. And they said they were changing a good amount about it. They were making it more relevant, which you could see a little bit in the trailer. So yeah, I just think it's going to be a huge overall contender in a ton of tech categories. As you said, nostalgia. What else? I do think it'll, like you said, general public. I think it'll do well at the box office. I don't think it's going to be a huge hit or something, but I think it'll do good enough. And yeah, I feel like it's something the Academy would like. Like, I'm not sure if Nightmare Alley is going to be too genre-y for them. Dune, I think they might want to award it with one of the later movies rather than this one, but I could still see Dune maybe winning. Belfast is obviously the front runner. There's not a ton I can say to dispute it other than, you know, if a movie is that far out of a front runner, how often does it actually remain the front runner? What else? House of Gucci is a mixed bag. I doubt that it would win picture. Don't Look Up, who knows? What are the other things? Power of the Dog, a little too artsy. What else is missing? Let's pull up Spencer, which I don't think will even be nominated. Is also a little too artsy. King Richard, maybe, but it doesn't seem like a Best Picture winner. It seems like a blindside, like nominated will win an acting category, but that's not Best Picture quality. Yeah, I feel like that's most of the contenders that I mentioned. I'm probably forgetting a few, but I out of all of those, I did see West Side Story, and I was like, I could see that happening, which would be historic, I guess, for a remake to win Best Picture. Even though there have been like remakes of international films. I mean, like a remake of like a big American English speaking movie that won Best Picture. Yeah, so all that combined, I just think it's got a good shot. And then finally, we have Nate, who asked, do you think anyone can rival Will Smith for Best Actor this year? As I mentioned earlier, there's some stuff surrounding Will Smith that could make it potential that he could not win. But right now he is a front runner. But who could rival him? Right now, who I'm looking at getting nominated alongside him would be Benedict Cumberbatch for Power of the Dog. Who else? Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, I think. Denzel Washington for Tragedy of Macbeth. And who's my last one? Oh, Peter Dinklage for Cyrano, I think is how you pronounce it. That's who I would have getting nominated. Leo DiCaprio is also on the outside looking in because apparently Don't Look Up is a decent movie, it seems like. That's pretty much it. Joaquin Phoenix maybe for Come On, but I doubt it. Who could rival him to win? Um, I was. I'm not. I don't think Andrew Garfield could, to be honest, because I don't think Tick Tick Boom is going to be a big enough overall contender. Because I can't even remember the last time the person who won Best Actor, their film wasn't nominated for Best Picture. I think you have to go back to like before the 2010s, before the preferential system. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure that hasn't happened in a long, long time. So I'd have to look on a movie that's nominated for Best Picture, which therefore I think would remove Garfield and Dinklage. Because I don't think either of their movies are sadly getting nominated for Best Picture. Definitely not Cyrano. Denzel, I'm not sure if Macbeth will be nominated for Picture. I'm not completely sure. You know, they're not huge Shakespeare fans at the Academy, especially in stuff like screenplay. I think with the 10 system, it could sneak in there, but I'm not sure. So I think that would mean Benedict Cumberbatch, because his movie is the most likely to be nominated for picture. I would say he is the most likely to rival. Yeah, to rival Will Smith for Best Actor, because he has been nominated before. He's a well-renowned actor. I think if Tragedy of Macbeth overperforms and sneaks in there, Denzel, I think, would actually probably have a better chance than Benedict. But right now, I would say Benedict was probably his biggest competitor. So that's it for the Q&A section. That's probably it for this week. Let's just double check. I didn't do a rewatch, first time watch for any Oscar contenders this week. Previous ones, Whiplash, 12 Years a Slave, both went well. And I just didn't have time for one this week. I'm sorry. We'll have one next week. Not completely sure what it will be yet. I'll have to ask Ben. Next week, obviously, it's going to be a big week. I hopefully we'll be able to get an episode done. I do have graduations and things to attend next weekend. I'm going to have a busy weekend, but hopefully I'll be back in time by Sunday to record. Yes, but you know, we have Spencer releasing, we have Eternals releasing. Mostly Spencer is what we'd probably talk about. Hopefully I'll be able to see it. I'm not sure where it would be playing near me, but I'm really hoping to see it. We have all that to talk about. Eternals, I'm sure we'll probably both see it. I don't know about Ben. I'll definitely see it because I know that will be playing near me. Yeah, so we'll definitely see that and talk about that. I was thinking of doing a ranking of the Marvel movies cinematography, because apparently Eternals is one of the best cinematography wise. We'll see if we have time for that next week. Right now, I can already tell you who my number one would be. Mr. Doctor Strange is easily, I think, the best shot Marvel movie. Worst shot, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp would be the worst. Gross movie. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I feel like we talked about everything that really needs to be talked about this week. Let's double check. Oh yeah, someone was wondering how many categories I would think Dune gets in at the Oscars. I would say 11 right now. Picture, director, production design. What else? Picture, director, production design, score, sound, visual effects, cinematography, editing, costume, makeup, and adapted screenplay. I think it's gonna get into screenplay just because that's not a very packed category, and they did a really good job adapting a tricky book. That's pretty much it then. I always feel like there's something that I'm missing at the end of these. So yeah, come back next week because hopefully it'll be me and Ben, you know, talking about Eternals, talking about Spencer if I see it. Ben did see Dune, by the way, ever since last episode, and he liked it. So that's good. We don't have to kick him off of this episode or this entire podcast. So that's good. And yeah, I feel like that's everything that can really be talked about this week. Last Night in Soho released. It kind of bombed, but that wasn't going to be an Oscar contender anyways. Don't Look Up, a few images released of that showing Timmy. Looks great. Yeah. I'm not sure what my poll for this week will be for next week's episode. Let's see. It would have to be Spencer or Eternals related. Maybe I'll ask, what do you think is the best shot Marvel movie? And why is it Doctor Strange? Yeah, so come back next week for all that Oscar talk. We'll have to see how that goes. I really hope I can see Spencer. Also, one of the movies that I forgot in picture when I was denying all of them in favor of West Side Story, Licorice Pizza. I do think that's a decent contender. That would probably be another one I would look out for, aside from West Side Story. So yeah, that's this week's episode of Weekly Oscar Talk. Just me this week, shorter episode, not a ton to talk about. I hope you enjoyed our time together. And if you stayed this far, I'm impressed. Wow, thank you. Yeah, so tune in next week. Keep sticking around for all that fun stuff. Oscar related, all that, I'm droning on at this point. Yeah, so stick around. Plenty of Oscar stuff to come your way.